Welcome. Welcome to another time with the Father and happy Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing. This helps us touch more people's lives. We're so thankful for that. And speaking of touching lives, I want to talk with you for just a few minutes today about life and life circumstances. And then we're going to read another excerpt from the book that we're writing called The Race to Rescue, Redeem, Restore, and Reset. And we'll pick up where we left off last week. Well, life and life's circumstances, don't they happen to us? And then we try to figure out how to get out of it. And by the time we think about how we can figure it out or that we've got this, then we end up finding ourselves in a deeper hole. And we end up saying, well, there was a needed rescue, but I didn't even know it. And sometimes these circumstances, they happen to us without our consent. We didn't get to say yes or no. And then sometimes they sneak up on us. We didn't even know they were coming. Either way, whether one is better than the other, they catch us off guard. And that's the hard part. But let me tell you the good news. The good news is that they didn't catch God off guard. I want to give you two scriptures that I think if you'll use these, put these somewhere where you can remind yourself that God is never caught off guard and he can help us to do the same thing. I want to give you two. The first one is Proverbs 4:23. And he tells us to keep our hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. That's Proverbs 4:23. The next scripture is Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 and 16. And it says, see that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So he gives us a warning. And these scripture and life's circumstances apply also to the character in the book that we're reading. So I want to pick up where we left off last week, give you just a little bit of a lead in. And if you didn't hear last week's reading, I would encourage you to go back and to listen to last week's podcast. So here it is. Here's a couple of two or three sentences to lead us in. Well, this she's in the dream. She searched for words to describe how she felt as she looked at the hues of green and gold. The door seemed to sing a song to her, one of church bells, angelic voices. She reached for the doorknob and turned to open it, and the song changed to a dirge. Now, I also want to tell you that there are three parts to the book. There's the present, where she finds herself in a situation. There's also a dream that we've just come out of. And then there's the past. Three parts to this book. And now we're in her past. I woke up to my alarm going off. It's the last day for seniors. Jumping out of bed, I forgot mostly about the dream. Mom yells from the kitchen, breakfast is ready. Breakfast is a bowl of cereal with fruit. I love the smell of coffee as well, but the thought of drinking something hot and black makes my nose curl. Well, as I scarf down the bowl of Special K, I watch Mom put more bowls on the table. Mom seems distant. It's 1976. It's America's bicentennial year, and like most cities across America, high schools are in full form. Now, in Brandon, Mississippi, where I live, is no exception. The senior committee's graduation plan includes some surprises that is just weeks or days away. Well, I put my bowls and cups and spoons in the dishwasher from everyone's breakfast. It's my chore this week. I closed the door and I asked Mom if she wanted me to start it. This dishwasher, Mom's pride and joy in the kitchen, takes orders from Mom only. I got no answer from Mom, so I moved toward the bottom of the stairs and I yelled, Mom, do you want me to start the dishwasher? Suddenly I hear her voice as if she's standing right next to me. She answers me over the intercom. Is it full? No, ma'am. Well, then no, and don't be late for school. I start to yell back, yes, ma'am, but my conscience stops me. I stare at the intercom, push the button, and calmly answer, Roger, over and out. Like most days, I ride off to school in my rust-colored 10-speed Schwinn, passing the same landscape day after day, including this old antique house. Using the sidewalks as I maneuver the cross streets, I notice, I think for the first time, its unique door. Remembering something about the dream, I make a mental note to write it in my journal when I get home from school. Now, the last day of school flew by, and with goodbyes and hugs and some tears, but mostly tears of joy. Well, we did it! Graduation would soon arrive. The reality of that event and what it brings to friends had not yet sunk in. Those we hung with, and those we competed with, and those we loved would soon move on. Well, meanwhile, I enjoyed my friends while I could before the summer ended, and everyone was off to different schools. Graduation came and went, and several of my friends traveled with their friends over the summer, but my two best friends stayed home. The 4th of July quickly approached, and I wanted to invite friends over, but Dad said, "Not this 4th." Disappointed, I went downstairs to my room while everyone else went upstairs to theirs. Well, the night was young, but I was so tired from all the day's activities, I fell fast asleep. Now, almost immediately, she was back in the dream, and she found herself walking up the stairs to the old house. This time, the front door was open, and she walked right in, missing who stood right behind the door. The doors that lined the hallway were lit up with lights that hung from above her head. As she looked up, she noticed rafters with lights swaying in the wind as the wind blew through the front door. She could see the details and thought that the doors seemed to have messages written on them. She heard singing again and noticed that each of the doors were numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. There was faint writing by each number, but it was in a different language. She tried to read the writing, but it all disappeared, leaving only two words, MVK race. Well, she's a runner, so the word race caught her attention. She ran the third leg on a four-woman race. Well, what kind of race, she thought, and to where? There had been more words, but now they were gone. Wanting to go in one of the doors, she decided to try door one again. As she approached the door, the song began, hopeful that once she put her hand on the tear-shaped doorknob, it would open and reveal what was behind it. Well, she turned the knob and the steady noise awakened me before sunup. Well, it was Jan at my window. "Come on, we're all going to Shipley's for breakfast before the others leave to go to school." Well, thanks again for joining me, and I hope you'll join me again next week as we continue reading from our book that will be released soon. Thank you again so much for joining me. I know I've said that more than once, but I can't tell you what it means that you are here sharing with me and sharing in what we are saying with our time with the Father, and how important it is that you and I both each week spend time with Him. So until next week, we will see you again.